Welcome to Rewind Replay, where we revisit all the nerdy shit that made us who we are. My name's Steve. If your wallet's empty but your shelves are full, you're probably in the right place and should consider clicking that subscribe button. Just the other day, I went ahead and picked up a bunch of new video games. I'm in the process of rebuilding my collection that I once had. I sold a bunch of it when my daughter was born about 3.5 years ago, but over the past couple of years, I've been rebuilding my collection, and it's starting to get pretty sizable. But there's still so many more games I'd like to get. One of my friends told me he had a bunch he was selling. I went over there, he had some great prices. I picked up a bunch, so I thought I'd share them with you today. If you've played any of them, by all means, feel free to get down in the comment section and let me know which ones you played. Where should I start in this list? In many a case, I either haven't played them or I've simply only played the demo. I have played a couple of them before, so I've got an idea of where I'd like to start. But if you guys think there's somewhere else I should be starting, let me know. With that all in mind, let's get started. We're going to start with the big one. The Super Mario Sunshine for the GameCube. Now, all these are complete in box. They're all absolutely brilliant condition for the most part. Now, this game here is actually one that I haven't played despite now owning this and the three Super Mario games they put together for the Switch, Super Mario 64 Galaxy and Sunshine. Funnily enough, I'm not going to be able to play this version of it either, as I don't own a GameCube. However, years and years ago in high school, I borrowed my mate's GameCube, and this is one of the games that he lent me. I never got around to playing it, as I spent the entire time playing Harvest Moon It's a Wonderful Life, but this is one of the Mario games I've always wanted to play. I absolutely love the box art for this one. I think this is one of the best Super Mario covers, even since like way back. Looking back at the third Super Mario game, that beautiful yellow cover, just incredible art. A game I really am excited to play, but I haven't ever had a chance, and until I get a GameCube I won't be able to play this particular version of it. So also I'll be playing the one on the Switch at best. Next up, Dead Space 3. So I'm a huge fan of those first two Dead Space games. I remember borrowing the first one from a local video shop way back when I was like 16, 17 maybe a little bit older, and absolutely loved it. I ended up buying the collector's edition for Dead Space 2, and it came with this shitty little version of the plasma cutter that even younger me knew was garbage, but I bought it. I bought all the collector's editions. That's why I've got this all behind me here, is because I got addicted to collecting statues, and I was one of those people who created just way too much shit. Dead Space 3 skipped me there. My mate and I were going to play it in co-op at the time, but then the reviews came out and they weren't great. We both ended up busy. We were never able to line up our time slots, and both of us just never ended up buying it. And at the end of the day, this became a game I never played. I'm still very keen to it. It's a universe I absolutely love. It is also a tragic beginning of stolen flicks. Came in, EA were pretty quick to start cutting all the stuff inside the games, which was a genuine shame, but very keen to get back on the Dead Space bandwagon, and I might jump right in here and pick up where I left off when I was much younger than I am now. Now here's one I have played, and that would be Star Wars The Force Unleashed. This is a fucking great game. If Disney Star Wars had just adapted this, there would be no issues. But the movies have, gone off on their own little tangent, and they are for the worse for it. But this game here, incredible. Played through it a stupid amount of times. I actually used to own this one when my daughter was born. I wasn't in nearly as good of a job. I sold off a bunch of my games. One of them was the Sith edition of this, so I would like to pick up the Sith edition and probably just trade this one back out. But for the time being, this gives me the opportunity to replay it. And this is, from memory, has a pretty cool Soul Calibur 4. And then I think it was PlayStation, and it was Darth Vader. It's just booklets, but like Fracture. So many memories, but man, where are the booklets nowadays. I get why they're not a thing anymore, but it's just why. Like, this was a part of gaming. Remember picking up games and you were engaging with them before you'd even got them in the console. It'd be the trip home in the back of the car, the train, the bus, whatever the case might be. You'd be reading the booklet, learning the instructions and the controls, learning the universe, learning the characters, getting yourself hyped before the disc could even enter the console. That is just something that's totally gone. Kids nowadays just don't know what they were missing. That for me was such a huge part of the experience back in the day. And yeah, need more games like this. And how tragic is it what happened to LucasArts? These guys were incredible back in the day. Here's an interesting one, Driver San Francisco. Now, I remember playing Driver. It was either 1 or 2 on the original PlayStation way back when at one of my mates' places. I actually didn't have a PlayStation. I completely missed it. I had 64 instead. I actually bought my first PS1 earlier this year. And I started trying to amass a collection of PS1 games. This here was one actually we were playing the demo for on the 360, which is so interesting given it's an impossible game to get digitally now due to some form of licensing issue. But I remember liking this quite a bit. The shift mechanics seemed really interesting. It felt like it harkened back to like classic car chase movies like Bullet, for example, Gone in 60 Seconds. It felt really, really cool. It's an unfortunate thing that we'll probably never see Driver again. Ubisoft just wouldn't know how to monetize it now that they've got stuff like The Crew. I feel like that's sort of taken the place that this series once had. But this is a game I really, really look forward to diving back into and getting to experience it in full. Here's a twofer, Overlord and Overlord 2. Now, I played Overlord's demo way back when, and I thought it was great fun. I just never had the money to get it, and for whatever reason, it wasn't available at my local video shop or any time I ever went in there. I just couldn't find it. My mate had a good deal on the two of them. I think they were like $15 a piece, so I ended up picking them both up, which was great for, I mean, the girth, the weight here. Let's have a look at this. So, cool poster maps. Remember when you used to get this sort of shit? Like, yeah, it's not color, but it is a meaty boy for sure. This era of gaming, like the early years for 360, PS3, coming at the back of I guess Gen 6 as well. Sounding like those meaty booklets, all the extra shit they'd stuff in the cases. All gone. I genuinely wouldn't be surprised if we end up getting GTA 6 and it doesn't even include the map like all previous ones had. Or if it does, it'd be like some sort of QR code where you download it for your phone or some form of BS. But going back to this era of gaming, there's just something really magical about these forms of games. Like, you don't get games like this anymore. Like, they just don't know how to monetize them. They wouldn't know how to extract everything out of it. But such a cool little God Sim series, I guess. And one that I think screams a reboot. I feel like there'd be an audience for this. Maybe something more like myself, where it'd be more for nostalgia. Either a remaster of these two or another one made would be incredible. But for now, I've got both 1 and 2 to tide me over. Here's an oddity. Fighters Uncaged for Kinect. Now, I actually already owned this one, but my one has like a tear all down here and pissed me off. So for $5, I figured screw it, I'll just replace it. This game here, the Kinect on a whole didn't have a lot of great titles, but this game here I remember playing way back when I had the Star Wars Xbox Slim with the Kinect. I remember playing this one and enjoying it. It was a throwback to that. Reminded me a lot of the game The Club, sort of in its visual style, its mechanics, maybe even a little bit of that mode in Condemned 2 Bloodshot as well. Cool game. The Kinect on a whole was sort of a weird gimmick, but there were a few gems for it, and I think this one of them, alongside something like maybe Gunstringer, maybe Fable the Journey, something along those lines. This was a cool one. once again, completing box. Yeah, $5. Figured screw it. I'll add it to the rest of the Kinect games I've got. Moving on from the 360 stuff, the one PlayStation 2 game I picked up there. As it turns out, I've already ordered Sense of Time 3B Games Retro collection that they've now got on their website, which I'm really, really enjoying and spending way too much money on. And I already had Two Thrones, but Warrior Within always eluded me. And once again, picked it up real cheap from my mate. It's completing box. This was a series, this and Sly Raccoon are the two series that really escaped me. No, way back then. Actually, that's a lie. That's God of War and Devil May Cry on top of that. But Prince of Persia was one I always really wanted to play. This trilogy of games always seemed really cool. I just never had the money to go ahead and engage in them, so I had to pick my battles. So I chose Jak and Daxter and Ratchet and Clank. Prince of Persia slipped by the wayside, but this game here just looks sick. Even the back art for it's mad. Once again, nice meaty book in there, but definitely a series I look forward to engaging with. I actually own the HD trilogy for PS3, so that'll probably be where I'll go ahead and play it, but I think it is a series that deserves a full remake or even bring it into the modern age with a re-release for PlayStation 5. I think it'd be really, really cool, but we'll have to have this one in the collection. Demon's Souls for PS3, so this one here's actually got a bit of an interesting story behind it. Not this particular copy, but I actually owned Demon's Souls 3 in the past, so I bought it when it first came out in Australia. There was a bit of a delay that prevented it from coming out alongside the rest of the world. We ended up with it a little bit later. A lot of the reviews were praising it as like the next big thing in RPGs. At the time, I was loving the Fable series. Fable's one of my all-time favorite games. Loved Morrowind, loved Oblivion, so seeing that there was like a dark fantasy RPG coming out, I was all about it. And so I picked up the deluxe edition for it, about $110 back in the day for PS3. Came with, I think it was the soundtrack and an art book. Might have come with a few other things. Took that home on the Friday, played the game over the weekend on and off, but it just did not connect with me. I didn't enjoy it nearly as much as I thought I would, so I went, I had Monday off, I took the game back, returned it back to the EB Games, and never thought of it again. That wasn't until PlayStation Plus came out, and Demon's Souls was one of the early games that it is one of the free downloads. I downloaded it then, gave it another crack, and fell in love with it. I absolutely played the shit out of Demon's Souls, and now when I look back, I so heavily regret not having held onto that deluxe edition. It sells for a fortune online. Like, you just do not find this anywhere available at a price point that's not going to cost you an arm and a leg. I'm simply not willing to sacrifice the arm and a leg to achieve it. So unfortunately, that's one of my biggest regrets in terms of collecting. I've got a pretty wide collection of collector's editions and games and such, and that is one I deeply regret having gotten rid of. That would be one of the ones I'd probably go ahead and put in one of those Perspex cases and store away nice and neatly. But sadly, that'll never be a part of the collection again, but it is a game I absolutely love. Anyway, were to go ahead and replay it, I do actually own it on the PS5. However, when I finally bought it on the PS5, when it was slightly discounted, my daughter ended up pulling, so I actually haven't gone ahead and done all that much on the PS5. In particular with Demon's Souls, where it's going to take a good few hours for me to dive back into it and re-engage with it on that same level. But I love the Souls games, and I've always had a soft spot for Demon's Souls in particular. Well, that's all from me. I'm off to make some more bad financial decisions, all in the name of nostalgia. So don't forget to rewind and replay, and I'll see you next time.